the rock. You physically couldn't hold me, I don't care if you pushing 40. You can never little bro me. Euro step like Ginobili, from young OG to the OG. From nosebleeds to floor seats. Circle stronger than Cuban links. My gold dance, your gold plated. You verse me, now that's a reach. We ready. Who ready?
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the One-on-One Sports Show here on the Black Man Unfiltered Network. I'm Mr. Bennett, joined by my partners, Brother Shawnee, with us this evening. Good to see you, sir. Our coach, he's in the back. Hopefully we'll have Dante with us a little bit later on. Good to have you guys with us, certainly on this week is here. Finally, the week of NFL football. College football kicked off last week. A lot of drama going on in Big D. We're going to talk about it all tonight and whatnot. So, again, this is probably the most exciting time of the sports calendar for a lot of us. So if you're an avid football time, you've been waiting 364 days for this day. So it's finally here. And certainly good to have you guys with us. Just make sure as you come in tonight, make sure you hit the like button as you come in, and certainly show some love to the channel. Consider also dropping a Cash App or a Super Chat, certainly to the Black Man Unfiltered Network, and certainly anything that you would want to give us. We appreciate any support. So, again, our Cash Apps are scrolling at the bottom of the screen, but we're not going to waste any time. We already got enough content, certainly to fill a couple of shows. But, and it figures that the biggest news of the week had to happen the day after our show. Jerry couldn't have waited until that night to do what he had to do with the day after our show. And so we're kind of like a week behind here. But first and foremost, Shawnee, how you doing tonight, sir? What's going on?
I'm good. Just been busy at work, so, got kind of spoiled working from home because, occasionally I have to go, I go into the office, but I've been going to the office a little bit regularly because we're doing a project and just getting stuck in those rush hours.
I know. Yeah, and me, I'm typically I rush home on Wednesdays. So I'm the last guy in the office and the last guy to leave. So either you got to get in before that traffic, or you get in later. So I'd rather come in later, leave around 6:37, and then get home. The traffic is kind of eased a little bit. But, other than that, it's you got to leave at 6 a.m. So it's anytime that rush hour 7, 8, 9, you're going to get caught out there for a minute. So I'd rather go after. I don't mind closing the office up. But for this show in particular, I make a point to make sure that I get here at a reasonable time to help prep for the show. But good to have you with us this evening. I know the coach is in the back. Hopefully he'll be with us in a couple minutes. And but let's not waste any time here again. But again, we want to thank everybody for being here tonight. But yeah, so let's get into this, man. So obviously we had the blockbuster news again. Once again, Dallas is always trying to stay ahead of the news curve. And Jerry, once again, he had the big interview with Stephen A. Smith. Certainly last week, and that certainly garnered a lot of headlines. But obviously the big news that came out, certainly Micah Parsons, who was already holding out, but I guess was expecting to get a deal with Dallas, but unfortunately that didn't happen, and he winds up getting traded, certainly to the Packers. And I'll have the details up in a minute here, but obviously there's the big news coming out of Dallas, so I figured we didn't waste no time since we got two boys certainly in the DFW area. So we definitely want to just chime in right away and get, your thoughts on this. What happened? I know Jerry was, kind of in his ways and whatnot, and Micah, from what I understand, he wanted to stay with Dallas, but unfortunately things didn't work out that way. So again, traded to Dallas. They get defensive tackle Kenny Clark, and they get first-round picks for 2026 and 2027. So, certainly that people are asking, was this a fair trade for Micah Parsons? Is this Herschel Walker 2.0? If people don't remember, a long time ago when Jerry bought the team, they traded Herschel Walker, got a ton of draft picks, and they built that dynasty that won back-to-back Super Bowls, and certainly Super Bowl 30 and 95. But could this be the start of something, or is this just ego or whatnot? So your initial thoughts on this trade, how it went down, and what's the reaction out of Big D because of this? And we're also going to compare this to another monumental trade. So, again, Dallas has certainly been the center of attention in the sports world, both in the NBA and in the NFL. But give your initial thoughts on this trade and, how this go down and what's the reaction down there?
Well, how it went down basically, Jerry and Micah. I think what they say. What was this in March? They they spoke with each other regarding his contract, and as Jerry was putting it, it was basically around that time they basically kind of semi agreed to whatever terms that them two was talking. His agent was not there with him, so Michael, I think Jerry was mentioning some. They was mentioning some numbers to each other, and Michael was like, "Okay, cool. Let's basically get my agent involved in these conversations because I guess they were just talking on their own at first." And Michael's like, "Okay, let me just run this by my agent. Go talk to my agent, and we can start getting the ball rolling." And Jerry the whole time was trying to make it look like that they were when him and Michael talked, there was some agreement, like a handshake agreement, that these are the numbers. Because I believe what was the total? Well, Green Bay ultimately gave him 47 a year. I think Dallas was giving him 40,
Yeah.
40 or 41. And at the time, Michael was also saying like his goal wasn't trying to be the top paid defensive player around that time because he really wanted to be a Cowboy. But the main thing Michael was like, hey, get with my agent, talk to my agent. And Jerry just did not want to do that. So time goes by, some making some relatively personal shots at each other, negotiating, and so how Jerry takes everything to the media. So Micah then requested a trade, even though Jerry was talking about we're not going to trade him, we're not going to trade him. But keep in mind, all of this is after the draft, But that conversation happened, I believe, before the draft. But I think when stuff started warming up, it was after the draft. And then ultimately, fast forward, Cowboys trade Parsons for the picks you can see on the screen with Kenny Clark, solid defensive tackle. He was
Yeah, 3-time Pro Bowler.
Yeah, I think his last Pro Bowl was 23. I think 24. They say it was a down year for him, obviously, because he didn't make the Pro Bowl. But he will fill a gap, potentially fill a gap. But the Cowboys just had a hard time filling. They draft picks they've been trying to get have not been clicking at all. Of course, the infamous one when they picked Taco Charlton, and then next pick later was T.J. Watt. So people don't let them forget about that.
Mm.
But and the first two two first round picks. Now, if this would have been closer at the beginning of free agency, or maybe even during the draft time, I believe the Cowboys would have gotten more back from Parsons. But because they waited a long time, you literally got back. I mean, Parsons is not going to get what a quarterback is valued, but they probably could have gotten like 2 first round picks is great for Parsons, but the team, the Packers are not. That's a title contending team potentially. So you looking at 2 picks, most likely after pick 25, both of them. Now, Will McClay, I believe William McClay, he could be, he's pretty good at drafting first round players, but it's not like every first round pick is a 100% success. I bring up Taco Charlton, Monty Smith is another name, but he does pick some good players from time to time, so that will be helpful for him. Or they can wrap these picks and use them, potentially maybe looking at the quarterback position if a prospect comes available like that. But yeah, of course DFW they were pissed off at it, but I was thinking more because I've mentioned on this show plenty of times about how I felt about the Cowboys and how they go about building their franchise. I was under the mindset that, man, you might as well just go ahead and trade Dak, Lamb, and Parsons simply because you do not really participate in free agency. Their philosophy is they will just build strictly to the draft. And if they pick you up from free agency, it's usually a player that's coming off the injury list. So they can get them for cheap. But they are not going to spend for a potential player who could impact them on free agency. So I'm like, okay, you value your picks because I know because it's just 3 of their signings because Dak played it perfectly. And I think CeeDee Lamb was the second highest receiver when he got signed. But 2 of the 3 reset the market when they got signed. And that would have been Parsons if he would have got signed. That's what, he ultimately did. So you would have had all that money wrapped up in 3 players that we really would have been hearing you complaining about cap, because you would have had no money to spend.
Mm-hmm.
You would have had all your, and obviously people watch the Cowboys, whether they love them or hate them, and you constantly see them butting their head against the same wall every postseason. So you got to change something. So trading Parsons, to me, I mean, of course he's an excellent player. We spoke about on this show that he can get kind of one-dimensional at times, because if you run his way, you literally take him out the game. So it's going to be interesting to see how Green Bay, strategize that with him. But yeah, I was fine with the trade. It gives them a good chance to build a team. I don't really know what they're going to do. I mean, I don't know what they're going to ultimately end up doing. Of course, Jerry tries to do his sale talk after the trade was happened, and the people was pissed off here locally, and the radio waves was pissed off at him. But yeah, to me, I'm cool with the trade. Like I say, I wish it would have been a different team. So the first round picks would have had a more higher potential pick. Because the Packers, you're like, okay, this is going to be 25 and and below. If it would be like somebody like the Panthers or hell, even the Titans, oh yeah, that would have been lovely. That would have been lovely, because that would probably potentially be a top 10 pick. But hey, a first round pick is a first round pick, so you gotta take them as they come.
Yeah. I don't know. This whole thing smells to me because someone's lying. You had the agent for Micah on First Take, and he broke down the situation. I saw the full interview with Jerry Jones, and he talked all this stuff about what happened and whatnot. And it's like, certainly Micah's camp is saying a whole different story. That initial meeting, that handshake agreement they had, basically Jerry kind of maneuvered that, from what I understand, right? It was supposed to be about the team and what the goals are going to be for next year, and then he starts kind of sliding to this contract talk. And Micah, not wanting, is the owner, he basically had him in a compromising situation. So he was like, he didn't want to necessarily upset the apple cart. So I guess he kind of went, but then he called him later and said, check with my agent. And then Jerry was like, in that same interview with Stephen A, was talking about, well, the agent told them to take that offer and shove it up. You know what? And the agent said flat out that I never said it like that. It was just like, look, we're going to start this negotiation up. And so it just seems like a lot. And then if Jerry's going to say, well, we need to stop the run. Well, if that was your priority, then why wasn't he on the trading block a lot earlier then? Or why would you even offer him the $40 million or whatever if you never intended to have him, or if you think your team would be better off without him because you need to stop the run? If you're going to admit to the guy's limitations, why are you even trying to negotiate a deal with him? So something just doesn't add up here. Jerry can come up and spin it, any way he wants. Now, having said that, I'm with you, Shawnee. I don't necessarily disagree with the trade, because I do think Micah is a bit one-dimensional in that, he's sort of a one-trick pony with the run. And those draft picks, I mean, who gives up number ones these days in success for anybody? When was the last time you saw a quarterback where they gave up number one picks for him? And as far as those picks, talk about what's going to be towards the end of, but he was a beast coming out. So I mean, you can understand that. But I mean, again, it's rare, and you're doing it for a defensive player, and you talk about people talk about, oh, these are going to be late round picks or first, in the 20s. Quite frankly, I don't see. I'll give the Cowboys 8 wins this year. I think the offense will be better because they got George Pickens, but 8-8, especially now that you're going to be even more compromised on defense. 8 wins, 9 wins is going to put you like in the high teens. If they don't make the playoffs, they could be talking about 16 to 18. And again, so I don't see that being a bad pick. I think you can get an impact player in that range. So I'm not upset with the trade overall, but just my general take is someone is lying, because the way Jerry's spinning it and the way Micah's camp is spinning it, something's getting lost here. So that's my take on the issue.
Well, basically, the story is kind of similar. I think it sounded like they was going back and forth over semantics for the most part. I mean, basically, Jerry is trying to take advantage of Parsons because Parsons is a football player. He leaves contract negotiations to his agent. They just, like I said, they was just talking to each other, and it kind of flooded over to contract-led talk. So Parsons was like, hey, okay, talk to my agent. This is why he's here. But Jerry just didn't want to go to his agent. Jerry was acting like what we said. This is what we said. This is what we said, whatnot. And then they was just going, and that's really all it was. I mean, for the majority of the time they was negotiating. That was really all it was about. And then, of course, now I say this now, even before the contract stuff. I don't know if you remember. Okay, you remember when DeMarcus Lawrence was he wasn't traded. I think he signed with Seattle, and him and Parsons was having like a little social media spit, whatever, with each other. There was some stuff. I think I even heard this last season or whatnot. There was some stuff that some players was getting kind of Parsons. Parsons had the podcast. So they was getting kind of annoyed because it wasn't the fact that he was doing the podcast, just some of the stuff he was saying, and
that's why you don't do it.
Yeah, exposing. So they kind of rubbed them the wrong way. Sometimes his personality was kind of. I mean, they enjoyed Parsons, but sometimes it kind of felt like they was kind of getting annoyed with him a little bit, because of what he was doing in the locker room. It never really negatively really affect anything per se, but you heard it. Hey man, stop doing this, or the podcast. Now when the preseason, when he was laying on that table, that kind of like, okay, because they was even saying like, if this was the old Cowboys, like if what's his name was his teammate Charles Haley would have flipped that table over.
Wait a minute. Charles Hurley's pleasuring himself doing practice. I mean, in meetings. But the point with that is, again, if you're good enough, you can get away with anything in Dallas. That's even when Landry was running the team. If your talent exceeds their tolerance for whatever it is you're doing, it doesn't matter. So I definitely think that it would have something to do. But Coach, get in here. Give your 2 cents. We talk long enough. You take the floor and speak as long as you want.
I hate Cowboy fans, man. Y'all the worst in the whole league, man. Y'all cry. Listen, I got friends in Kentucky. They cry the same way y'all do down in Texas about the Cowboys. And Shani, we clearly see who's the owner and who runs the team. Jerry Jones. Ain't no Steven, ain't no Kevin. Ain't none of his sons. They go sit over and be quiet till Jerry Jones step aside or he pass away out on the field. Now, back to the trade, right? So I'm surprised by the trade. However, again, Jerry Jones is the general manager. He goes to the players and say, that's what they do. Hey, man, it's a contract year. What you going to do for us? They run it back. And then when they start saying, let's go to negotiation, the player go get his agent. Jerry Jones was really trying to cut the agent's game out, because if he would have been able to do that, which eventually he did at the end, but it was a trade then, every owner would have followed Jerry Jones' suit. This goes to the player and been the general manager. But the thing is, it was a bad trade. You trade him to a division, it could come down to Green Bay and Dallas making the playoffs, and you trade him, even though y'all don't play in the same same little immediate conference, but still, that could be big problems down the road. Dallas is a warm weather team. They go up there to Green Bay in December. It might be a Micah Parsons parade after the game if they come down to that. I think it's just, I don't know. Dallas, they don't know what to do now. I don't know who they got on defense. Well, they got the one guy, and they need some run stoppers. They need some linebackers. If Diggs come back and play like he did earlier, Dallas will have a good defense. And, but I don't know, man. Next year they need to draft defense, and I don't know who they receivers. Maybe they got their receiver core, so another running back, another lineman next year. Dallas don't need to panic. I don't like Dallas. They always been a rivalry, but Jerry Jones, he's the head. He's the basically the face of the NFL. He can do what he wants. Can't no other owner do that. But
Yeah,
it's a
because
bad trade.
yeah, but also, so two elements I want to discuss. One is the NFLPA. Is anybody going to push back on this move? That the fact that he tried to negotiate with the other guy's agent. I mean, is anybody? Is Jerry basically? I'm gonna do whatever I want. I don't, because the guy's bucked ever since he's owned the Cowboys. He's always bucked the owners when he signed his private deals. He's always got away with everything. I don't think, has Jerry ever been checked by the owners or by the league since he's been the owner of the Cowboys? I don't think so.
I think the closest thing was when Ezekiel Elliott was suspended. Even though he didn't do nothing wrong, that was kind of a thing between Jerry and Goodell. But that was the closest thing I can remember where it was kind of really Goodell was taking it out on Jerry. So they suspended Zeke for his off the field conduct, and then it turned. Thankfully, Zeke appealed, and it turned out that the lady was trying to extort him. But he was already suspended by the time that information came out. But I think that was between Goodell and Jerry.
Right.
Because Jerry was saying, man, don't suspend him. Come on, man. But he had to. He had to suspend him, but that's why when they
I'm talking about just in terms of like his business practice, like how he goes about his business.
That.
It's like he's like untouchable. So it's like, look, I don't care. You want to file a complaint with the NFLPA, whatever, because no player should be trying to negotiate without some sort of representation. That's supposed to be locked in stone. But Jerry's still like, I do what I want.
I don't think that's going to happen.
He's the general manager, though. He's the general manager.
Yeah, I don't think this NFLPA going to do anything now because obviously, once the wheels started spinning, David Mugoleta, his agent, who was also George Pickens' agent, so Pickens, depending on how he performed with the Cowboys, he may be looking to get paid next season.
You think he'd want to stay in a situation like that? If you're going to treat, if this is how you're going to negotiate with your best player, then what other high-priced free agent is going to even want to deal with that? I mean, will the players respond in certain ways where does Dallas become an undesirable location?
Parsons, though. This is just Parsons. Remember, normally the Cowboys stars, they get paid. Parsons is just because the way it was like, it was like all type of stuff in that soup over there. But usually Cowboy stars will get paid by Jerry. That's how it's been. I mean, you had Lamb, you had Dak, you had Zach Martin. You just go down the line, they usually get paid. So if George Pickens produces, because now he's not gonna get Parsons money. Hell, as soon as they traded Parsons, they re-signed DeRon Bland.
Bland. They gave him a nice contract.
So they got money now. They're not going to use it in free agency. So it's like,
but you never know though. This is a new Dallas. Think about it. He made a big trade in the prime of a Pro Bowl career, and he's looking forward to the future. I think again, it was a bad move as far as conference, but he should have did this early on because he could have built from the draft too. He could have Jerry Jones, if he would have traded him early. Okay, go ahead, got them draft picks in this year and next year, and got the the defensive tackle. Man, Dallas could be pretty stacked on defense.
That's how the radio waves up here was saying. It was like some of them didn't mind the trade because obviously if you paid attention to the Cowboys, it's like you would have signed Parsons. Now you really gonna be complaining how tight you are with the money, and that's Stephen Jones. Stephen Jones don't like to spend at all, but he really would have been complaining. But they was like, okay, now that you traded, we wish you would have traded to a different team, so the potential picks could be higher. Even if it was 2 first rounders, like we were saying, Packers they looking like a potential title run, so they're gonna be low first round. Or if you would have known you were going to trade, which I don't think they knew they were going to trade. I think they wanted to sign Parsons. It just started getting uglier and personal as the time went on to So they said, okay, we were thinking, okay, maybe before tomorrow he's gonna be signed. But they had other plans. They said, they found a trade with Green Bay, so they let it happen. So
let's talk about Green Bay a little bit. So from their perspective, did they overpay for this guy? I know we're talking about them possibly going for a run. I don't know if Micah is the final piece for that. Obviously, they have a nice young quarterback, a better above average QB. They have some pieces in place. I don't know if he's like when Donald went to the Rams, if he was the piece for them to get to a Super Bowl. I don't know if this elevates Green Bay. Did they give up too much to get him? What's your thoughts on Green Bay and their position versus last week? Are they that much better off where now they're like conference contenders, if not Super Bowl contenders at this point, with Micah?
I don't think Michael's going to get that money regardless. So, and I guess that comes
47 though.
I told people when who's the latest when TJ. It was TJ Watt.
TJ
right?
got 41.5.
Yes, when he got his money, I said Michael's about to get his price just went up. Yeah, and a lot of people, for whatever reason, they just refuse to believe. Like, if you are an elite player, they celebrate when another elite player gets money. They know
understood, but by $6.5 million though. Because look, all those other guys, Crosby, the guy from Cleveland, and Watt, they're all the difference between those guys is like $5 million.
But you gotta remember, Parsons is only 26 years old.
He's younger, yeah.
Yeah,
so plays a difference.
They may work, but I think I wouldn't say Packers gave up too much. The only thing they got to worry about now is Parsons back.
Oh, shoot.
Yeah, so
I mean, it's like he may not be even ready for game one. So
they gave up too much. Looking at it right now, they gave up too much. I think maybe a first and a second round, but potentially your best defensive tackle and 2 first rounds. It's going to be tough, man, try to rebound because Parsons, he's not he's not a Reggie White caliber player. Reggie White could stop the pass and the run. Parsons, they've already sort of looked at his flaws and like he has to be able to get better. And according to him practicing with the sumos, then we see why, we can see that flaw. But I thought that would be a good exercise to do to get that skill developed because to move a sumo wrestler, you got to be strong. And you know what I'm saying? So I don't know, man. We'll see come December, man. When he get cold in Green Bay, we'll see how Parsons play. He's playing up to par. Dallas better be winning. They better be winning because there's going to be a whole lot of eyes on them. But,
yeah. And for that extra money that he got, I mean, Green Bay is not necessarily a media marketplace out there. So again, I know he had his show and he had his podcast and things like that. And, I don't know if Green Bay is going to be necessarily the ideal place for him, but they'll embrace him. I mean,
he's going to cut the podcast out. He won't be podcasting in Green Bay.
Well, I don't know. I think he's still going to do that.
You ain't going to be podcasting up in Green Bay.
They are locally. Some people are trying to compare this trade, make it look like it's the next Herschel Walker trade.
Herschel Walker 2.0. That's what I was asking at the beginning of the show.
I don't think they don't have the players, the amount of pieces that was. Because remember, Herschel Walker was like 1 for 5 players, something like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like
and then they had like a contract, like they can cut them and get picks and stuff. I don't think any GM today would do something like that now.
No.
Yeah.
But still, giving up. I'm trying to remember the last time teams gave up consecutive first round picks for any player, not even a quarterback. Like I know you mentioned Watson, but that's a lot. That's a lot to give up. And again, I think those picks will be better. Everyone's talking about 25, 26, 27. I'm like, show me the wins. I'm looking at an 8 or 9 win Dallas team. They got a new head coach. And so I'm like, I don't see no more than 9 wins for this team. My over-under is 9 for this team. So like I said, those picks can really pan out to be a lot better than what we're given credit for. So speaking of Speaking of Dallas fans, welcome our brother Dante in the mix here. So we've chopped it up a little bit on this topic. So if you want to give your initial thoughts on the trade and how you're feeling about this trade, it looks like from your attire, not very good. But go ahead. You might find that shirt in like $9.99 in Marshalls in a few, or Ross in a few weeks.
And what's crazy is what's going on, fellas. I had just bought this last season because I was like, I need the guys that I feel like are going to be here for a while. And so I was just like, man, that hurt. Like, I got a lot of compliments on it. It looked nice. I got, and it was just like, yeah. But I was like, what I'm going to do tonight, though, I'm going to put the Micah talk to bed. Like, I'm wearing it to show reverence. Like, hey, I appreciate you, but this is it. At this point, I mean, this is comfortable. I'll wear it around the house, I guess, or, let my kids wear it or something. But I gotta stick with the old Dak jersey. But I got that one in like 17. It done been through some battles. I gotta get a new Dak, I guess, and a Lamb. But let me see. The reason I'll start with this. Jerry Jones in the front office, because I would say it very much seems so with him with the one seat. You led the car on this because you felt that you were trying to circumvent the rules and have a guy sign a deal that he needs an agent. And I give kudos to Micah for being like, hey, I need my agent here. I need to do this. Micah went too far, but he didn't go all the way. It was like, hey, let me get my agent. Let me do that. And Jerry, him, and Hall, and I know people were mad at David Mulugeta. First and foremost, I'm mad at no one for getting their money. I'm not mad at a great agent, but for him to go from it should have been 40 something to 47, yeah, that's a high price. I would have rather you have all of the power in your hands. I would have rather Jerry say, hey, I said you're going to play on the deal. You can miss these games and say that it's injury related. And then at that point, we'll get to the rubber meets the road. If you miss too many games, then you push back free agency. You should have had enough Mr. Ambiguity to fight that fight and not trade him at this time. From a team building standpoint, if you wanted to trade him, I never would. I would have like, hey, let's figure out the money. Let's flip some switches. You got a quarterback on a 4-year deal. Let's try to maximize that 4 years. But you didn't do that. Instead, you got extra picks. We wanted you to get a run-stopping player, not at the expense of your best player. So it's just like, and I've had a week.
So in your view, who got the better end of the deal?
Better of the deal, I would say as of right now, the Packers, because they didn't give up the guy from Michigan. They didn't give up the edge rusher from Michigan. His name slips me right now. So you have him on one end, you got Mike on the other. Micah's strength isn't the run game, but every player has a weakness. So you've got two guys that can get after the passer. He's going to draw people towards him. He's certainly going to draw people towards him. So like you have a really good shot with a good young quarterback, which I like Jordan Love. I like that they got him a first-round receiver from the Longhorns, Matthew Golden. So you got pieces there, decent offensive line. So it's like, hey, you have a chance. He said, hold on. Now, and that's scary. The scary part is you absolutely have a player that could help lead them to the Super Bowl and be somebody in it, make impact plays. And you're trading them to I would say a secondary type rival. I want to say for my older Cowboy fans, they remember the Ice Bowl. I was nowhere near here. So that means something more to you. And obviously the 90s, I think we beat them for the last time we went to the NFC Championship. And, I know I feel a certain way about them because they come to the stadium, they're route. So they're a rival that's under San Francisco, but still a rival nonetheless. And you made that move. The time to make that move was the spring when we were talking about, hey, are the Cowboys going to, that was the time to make the deal, get the best offer and strike, not 2 weeks before, a week before you play the reigning defending Super Bowl champs. Like the timing of it, you could have got more value if you see the value in hey, Kenny Clark. I've seen the YouTube people that go and break down the film. He's still a good player. The problem last year was Kenny Clark had a broken toe, but he played all the games. So I like toughness, but he should have, got that taken care of. But he's gotten the surgery taken care of. He looks like he's going to be in position to make a good defensive tackle tandem along with Osa Odighizuwa. But I'm off of the trade of that fact, so I'm putting it to rest today. But Jerry, my disdain for Jerry right now, I can't even watch the Netflix show. My older brother was just like, hey, it's really good. Like he told me to watch it last Thursday. And I was like, I'm gonna watch it when I get home. I saw the trade, and I know we on YouTube. I use a 4-letter word, in regards to Jerry Jones, and I was like, nah, I'm good. He texted me the other day. He was like, you should go ahead and watch it, and I was like, nah, man, like you really.
It is pretty good. Even I hate Dallas, but it's well done. But at the same time, it's definitely a Jerry production. It's like they only going to let you only see so much in there, and Jerry's going to come out looking good. Thanks, Shawnee, for the information. So, but like I said, if the trade like this was going down, it's typically for a quarterback. You don't see people giving up multiple first rounders for a QB. So this is a recent case of that. So thanks for pointing that out. But seldom have I ever seen that for a defensive player. But Dante just asked the guys. I mean, Green Bay. What do you think this puts Green Bay in the conference? Are they in the contention for the conference? Are they a Super Bowl contender now? Where do you stack them in terms of this trade? Did they overpay? Because usually, like I said, the three guys who got paid before, all within like a $1 to $2 million range, you really reset the market paying him $47. Did they overpay for Micah Parsons?
They may have overpaid some, but I think what his agent is coming from, and I've heard Micah say this, or not Micah, it may have been the agent. He's younger than Garrett and Watt. So my thing is, you give him this chance to take it in 4 years and then get another bite at the apple. Well, he'll be at their age in 4 years. So when you look at it from that standpoint, you put a little extra on top to get the deal done. I would say draft pick wise, they could have done worse. They could have gotten like a second and took more draft capital. And I would say the Cowboys didn't get enough because what is his? I think his name is Van Ness. They have an edge rusher that they just drafted high in the top 3 rounds that everybody had like a good feel on it. And so for you not to get one of those players, and I want to say not even ask for Josh Jacobs. My thing is you're getting my best player. This guy's going to help you now. I need somebody that's going to help me now. I felt like if you would have said Kenny Clark and a Josh Jacobs and maybe if not a second since they're giving that much up, give me a third and give me the third for not the 26 draft, but the 27 draft. Get more because at that point, then I feel like, hey, you got it. But Scale, like you say, you feel like he got the belly in the deal. My thing is, as a Cowboy fan, I will say I've got down the emotion of it. Come draft time, I'm gonna feel good about it with the 2 picks. But the trade, I don't agree with the trade. I feel like it's something that it could go from bad to worse. It could go from bad to worse if you're seeing that come January, Micah's lining up and they're in the NFC Championship, with home field advantage. Because if you are a true contender, the NFC North is a great division. They're right there with the Lions. I still think the Lions might beat them just a little bit. But the Lions are dealing with turmoil and changes in their brain drain where they're losing coordinators and continuity. And now you got week 1 in Lambeau, one of the best pass rushers in football, a good young quarterback. And hey, the Packers are there. Packers are going to be a problem. Hey, I can't. My thing is, I will say this. I'm the type of Cowboy fan. When that happened, one of the other main things I said is, Jerry, you're making us look stupid out here. You're making us look bad. You're giving ammunition for every fan base that hates us. Mainly the one that Washington, the Commanders, and who we're going to play tomorrow night in Philly. The 49ers, even though they're rebuilding, so they might want to be quiet because I think they're in for a rough season. But nevertheless, everybody kind of can take your shots. And I was like, as a Cowboy fan, you just got to say, hey, look, it is what it is. And just roll with the punches. At least the game start, because I was tired of talking about Micah. I was tired of him talking about laying down on the couch. I was tired of all of those things. Not so tired as much that I wanted them traded. Let me not get that. Let me not get this.
I heard that.
He's a future Hall of Famer with the way he's tracked. Like he was a All Pro as a rookie.
Yeah.
Like first thing.
Well, the only thing I think of holding down is injuries, like I said, but his back and whatnot. We just got to see how healthy he's going to be. But I certainly want to go back to this. So again, obviously Dallas has had a lot of turmoil in recent years regarding. I mean, obviously last year you had the Luka trade, and the fan reaction from that. So what do you guys think was sort of the bigger, since you guys are in the Dallas DFW area? What was the bigger reaction, the trade of Luka or the trade of Micah in this in this last couple of years?
Oh, that's a no contest. By far, Luka.
Yeah.
By far, Luka. Because the whole thing about Luka, it was totally unseen. Luka never requested a trade. You even know Luka and the Mavs was going back and forth with each other, and Luka just led them to the NBA Finals the year before. So we just sitting here in our households, laying on the couch, and they see I get an ESPN notification saying that the Mavs had traded Luka for Anthony Davis and so on at right before midnight. Hell, even Luka was asleep. He wasn't expecting anything. So that was with Micah. You knew once Micah requested a trade. Okay, it was a small ball, but it was rolling. It was something to roll. But it's just negotiation, and then me personally, I was not surprised about Parsons being traded. Like I mentioned earlier in the show, it would have really hit them with a cap. And I'm like, I think a lot of people who were really complaining about or was really hard about Parsons being traded is because of the name. But I'm like, if you watching the team, they suffer the same damn defeat every single year. Parsons is not. I mean, they haven't went on to did anything special with Parsons. Now Parsons has produced in games, and then last time in playoff, Parsons completely disappeared. So I'm like, okay, you keep doing the same thing for like over a decade, and you might as well try something because you're gonna have 3 top earners on your team at the same time, and the team already don't really participate in free agency. But yeah, by far it was Luka because it was completely out of the dark. You saw the ball rolling a little bit with Parsons, and then the more him and Jerry, like you mentioned the whole Jerry Stephen A. interview. I didn't watch it because I just got tired of it. I mean, y'all saw it on a national scale. Here locally, everybody talking about it. So Jerry, even Jerry just went on, did a Good Morning America interview. I'm like, come on, man. I'm like, y'all, all right, Jerry. But yeah,
he knows how to milk it though, and he knows people will watch. I mean, all this stuff with the Netflix documentary, with the Stephen A. interview, now the Good Morning America. I mean, look, but facts, because like I was saying earlier before you got on, Dante, somebody's lying. Because Jerry in that interview with Stephen A., he talked about stuff that that the agent said and whatnot, and the agent had to go on First Take and refute everything. Again, someone's spinning a narrative here, and the truth is, maybe they say the truth is always somewhere in the middle, but I just don't get it. Jerry's going to spin this story and see reality the way he wants to see reality, and nobody in the NFL, not the Players Association or the owners themselves, haven't been able to stop Jerry Jones in 30 years. So he's going to continue to do what he does.
He's going to sell it to the fan base. That's what.
Yeah, for sure. But let's move on to the larger NFL. So obviously we have, obviously week 1 starts tomorrow night. Obviously the big matchup. You got the Eagles and the Cowboys. Up there. I know my Steelers are playing the Jets. 1 p.m. on Sunday. So a lot of marquee matchups that are coming up. You also got the Bills and Buffalo rematch of the playoff game last year. So again, a lot of good matchups. Green Bay playing the Vikings. We'll see if the Lions. We'll see if those guys can rebound, how healthy those guys are going to be. But you got a lot of marquee matchups that are going to be coming up. This weekend, starting tomorrow night. I think it was on Amazon Prime. So again, a lot of big things. So again, your thoughts on that matchup, and particularly the Eagles. Do you think are the Eagles certainly the team to beat this year again? Are they in your mind the forerunners to go back to the Super Bowl, if not repeat as Super Bowl champions? Or do you see somebody else coming out of the NFC?
I don't know about the Eagles going back, because that's a hard thing to do. Everything has to line up for you back-to-back champions. And hell, we mentioned on a couple of weeks ago, even their own division. You would think they got the division locked up, but the division can never have repeat winners.
Well, Shawnee, all that's about to change. You're going to see the first repeater in years with the.
That's what they said when the Eagles made it to the Super Bowl last time. I mean, it's still in the midst of that, so I don't know. I mean, it's just wacky. Hell, even when the Cowboys won 3 straight 12-game seasons, and it's just, I don't know. because Washington, they improved, so they may be potentially challenging Philly for that division title. But at the game tomorrow, usually Dallas is a division rival, so they're gonna play each other tough. I know we just finished talking about Parsons and him being traded, so it's gonna be interesting to see how the defense goes. I can't really speak about the Cowboys offense right now. They're an enigma right now because they slightly improved their running game, and then you got George Pickens who has high expectations. So I want to say the Cowboys offense has improved. I don't know yet, because I think they may have something there. It ain't gonna be no record setting, but I think they'd be a vast improvement from last year because they have legit wide receiver talent on both ends, and they should have a somewhat productive backfield, hopefully. Now, if they don't have no running game, then it'll be just like last year.
Gotcha. Shout out to Dante for the $5 super chat. Every time Jerry Jones tries to prove others wrong, he proves them right. And I'm not a Cowboys fan. I appreciate the super chat there. Trey, you're going out on a limb here. He's picking the Titans for the upset. Cam Ward, rookie quarterback, and versus the second-year quarterback in Denver. They still got that secondary. I don't know, bro.
That's bold. That's bold.
That's a bold pick
defense
right
is so stout. So like him coming up against them, I don't know how I feel about that one, but I like the boldness because Cam Ward he's looked pretty good.
Yeah, for sure. Only one ball pick Spoon. I think when he gets 2 targets a game. We'll see. It'll, like I said, it'll be a very interesting matchup.
I don't think so.
Any other matchups you guys seeing on the schedule, Coach, that you have a particular interest in? Any upset picks just going into week 1? Just off the list here.
Man, I'm interested to see the 2 at the bottom for real. I would like to see what the Bears do in the second year, what I'm saying, with their quarterback. And, they hadn't really spoken highly of him over the preseason, so I would like to see how he bounces back. And with the Ravens and Bills, man, that's a toss-up. You're talking 2 MVPs back-to-back, first game of the year. That's a toss-up. Both got better, what I'm saying? Both signed better players. They signed, those 2 games I'm gonna be keen on. But yeah, it's first day, man. Dallas go get beat though. I'm sorry to tell you, but y'all be all right.
Yeah, a lot of early divisional matchups, which is certainly good to see on the schedule. A lot of times they'll put those games usually towards the middle or the end of the season as those conferences start to get competitive. But you see a lot of divisional matchups. Browns playing Cincinnati, so we'll see what that situation is going to be look like. And then you also, I'm taking a look at again San Fran and Seattle. Again with that, Brock Purdy got his contract, got the new quarterback Darnold in Seattle and whatnot. So it's certainly a lot of games. So if you guys have YouTube TV or whatever, this is the time to get the ticket because you may be bouncing around watching.
Well, I want to mention
games.
something on that last game. Coach brought up the 2 at the bottom. The Bears-Vikings game, because I'm imagining the Vikings still going to have a good defense like they had last year at one time. But I'm interested in seeing how Ben Johnson is with Caleb Williams because there was one time, I know it's preseason, and I think Caleb was going against the opposing team's first defense or whatnot. But there was a drive that Caleb would – the drive that he had, I think, was the best I ever seen Caleb Williams look like his entire time in the NFL. Just his timing on the ball. The routes was crisp. The balls was crisp. It was like bow, 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 touchdown. And then he got off the field. Now, I don't remember seeing any of that last year. It's just, I mean, you can tell when there's a crispness to an offense. And that drive, I'm like, okay, I saw Ben Johnson's effect right there. I'm like, oh damn.
Yeah.
Okay, he's gonna be like this. If he's gonna be like this,
he going in.
Nah, I'm like, if he's gonna be like this, the way, cause I can say the whole entire season last year, I know it's preseason, but I say I've never. Cause Williams, he usually Williams is always trying to move around and throw the ball. He's trying to throw it off platform and all this stuff. They keep saying, stop doing that. But this drive, it was the way it was coming out. So I know what they were saying at the beginning of the preseason, how they was kind of, maybe it was like kind of false hope to the rest of the league, how coach was getting on Williams at times. But I was like, damn, if he looks like this, the way that timing looked, I'm like, oh, that's why I think it's gonna be an interesting game versus that defense. It's gonna put it to work.
Yeah. And I'm going to say this off the rip, not just because I'm a Steelers fan or whatever, Lamar, you got to show me something this year, bro. This is, I mean, how many excuses? All you Lamar Jackson defenders out there. How many guys? So again, this to prove it. Yeah, I'm sorry if he can't do better. Can't get out of it to the at least to the championship game or something, to a Super Bowl. I mean, how many chances this guy's going to how many shots at the apple is he going to get? So again, to me, this is a prove it year for Lamar Jackson. Can he finally get over the hump, and can he get to that next level? I mean, I think he's been around long enough, and we'll see what happens there. But let's move on to the college game. So we had certainly the debut as the starter of Arch Manning. So everyone's talking about this quarterback class next year. Again, I'm still not convinced. Arch Manning just going into the certainly in the first half. Only had 38 yards, 9 of 15 in the first half. Really didn't look good in that game. Not sure. I think this is just a function of the Manning hype machine, and I'm not sold. If he had any thoughts of trying to come out in next year's draft, brother, I think you need to stay in at least for a couple years if you're going to be any good at this point. But I don't know if you guys saw the game. I wasn't impressed, and I know he threw some garbage yards late and whatnot, but what do you guys think of the Manning show? Again, not impressed. I know, coming out, you're playing the defending champions. I get that. But, you're supposed to be the next one. And I didn't see it, just like his uncle couldn't never beat Florida. Everyone forgets about that. I remember all those games in Florida. Every time Manning looked great, when he went up against Florida, he always lost. In fact, Sports Illustrated, one time they had a cover with him wrestling an alligator. Because he can never beat those guys. So I don't know if he's going to make it there. But before we go on, also again, shout out to Anton again. Is that if the Dallas Cowboys want to win another Super Bowl in the foreseeable future, they need to follow the blueprint of the Chicago Blackhawks. Obviously, my man's always the hockey fan. And then another $5 super chat. The Dallas Cowboys have the second most deranged fans in North America. The team that's first, the Toronto Maple Leafs. So again, my man's always going to give I promise you, Anton, at the start of the NHL season, you have an open ticket, open seat to come up, and you can certainly preview. We'll give you a slot because all the supporters you give us here. We'll give you a slot if you want to preview the NHL season for 2026. So that's an invitation that you got there. But yeah, I mean, I saw the game. Again, not impressed. Is it too early? Yeah, maybe. But certainly them being in title contention. I don't see it. But again, I think he may need a little seasoning, too much pressure, whatever it is. What were your thoughts on Arch Manning? If you got a chance to see the game, what were your thoughts on coming out the gate? Go ahead, Dante.
Okay. So I didn't get a full chance to sit down and consume the whole game, but basically, I was streaming it. I went from watching it to streaming it because I was out of town, and then I was like listening to the end of the game, the very end of the game on the radio. What my feel from it is this: as somebody roots for Texas, this is not just a Arch Manning problem. Somebody is getting a big pass from the media in this one. And that person would be Steve Sarkisian. Steve Sarkisian has been here a couple years now. He's rebuilt the talent base. He's gotten players, because before, players would not come to Texas because they couldn't go pro. They were not developing the talent. That problem's gone. You got the guys. Now it's time for the X's and O's. And if you don't recall from the national semifinal 6 months ago, he has a problem in the red zone. Ohio State stopped them in the red zone in the semifinal. They stopped them in the red zone here. And then in the playoffs the year before, Washington stopped them in the red zone with a chance to go in and win the game and go to the national championship. So I will say this, from everything I heard, from one thing, I'll get the pro thing out the way. If you follow any type of Texas insider, you would have known the plan was not for him to go there. The original plan was for Quinn to start one more year and then Arch get a chance to get 3 years. That obviously didn't happen. They at least want him now to start 25 games. So the pro thing, that wasn't even a thing for me. That was me. That was all media hype. What I will say is this: he looked really uptight. The mechanics weren't there, and the conservative game plan. Because as you can tell, Ohio State with a guy with Jeremiah Smith on the other end, they only got 14 points. Texas is a defensive-led team with a quarterback with good potential. And I would say is that Texas has to get it together. Sarkisian has to make the right calls and the right plays, because the only weakness in the team, well, it's looking like quarterback is still a question mark, but the offensive line. But one of the issues that was supposed to be solved was C.J. Baxter, a heralded recruit that tore his knee up at the beginning of last year's camp. He had a really bad knee injury. So for him to be back, that's supposed to stop the red zone running issues. But some of the play calling and just being so conservative, that hurt Arch. And I would say he needs to work out those kinks. Texas basically has 3 preseason games, then they have a bye week, and then they go to the Swamp at Florida against a DJ Lagway, who's looked at to be one of those heralded quarterbacks. But it's something that I wouldn't panic over, but it is something that is concerning. Like, I'm not thinking like, oh, it's nothing. I'm not that. No, it is concerning that he looked that bad. He needs to, obviously, it's not going to help playing the 3 scrub teams you play. But when he goes to the field against Florida, and then the next week in the Cotton Bowl against Red River against Oklahoma, which has a good defense, he needs to be much better prepared.
Yeah, I agree with Dante about Sarkisian, because, of course, Manning has so much attention coming to him before this game. That's why he had all these people, these expectations and high expectations and whatnot. It's not his first start, but it's his first start knowing that he's the quarterback, and he don't have to, look over his shoulder, because otherwise he was just filling in when Ewers was injured. And that was the thing last year. When people kept saying, why is Ewers playing and not Manning? Ewers was the better thrower last year. And you saw that during the game. Manning's accuracy was off from time to time. Did Manning play a bad game? Yes. But Dante hit the nail right on the head. I have no understanding why, especially when you're going against a good Russian defensive team like Ohio State, and you just played them. That was the last game you played last year versus them. So that should be fresh in your brain right now. And you tried to, I remember last year when Ohio State had basically at the goal line stop, and you had Quinn Ewers as a quarterback. Quinn Ewers is damn near a statue. He could throw the ball, but he is not mobile. So it was hard for him to get out of the way of the Buckeyes' speed on defense. He was just a sitting target back there. Insert Manning. Manning is by far a whole lot more athletic than Ewers was. He's not a thrower, but when you goal line, they literally just did basically the same plays. They just kept running up the middle. Ohio State is sitting right there. It's just sitting right there. You got the perfect quarterback to do like just a play action like bootleg, just go around and you can just flip it to somebody for an easy 1-yard touchdown. Do something like that. Take advantage. Because you see Ohio State, they was aggressive trying to stop the run at the goal line. That was all their mindset was, stop the run. Use that to your advantage. Just go around, just do a little naked bootleg, play action off a pass to fake, and just an easy toss in the end zone. That way you can use the strength that your quarterback has. Now, Manning and his throwing, yeah, you saw that. He was struggling, throwing some balls behind receivers, not really hitting them on target and whatnot. But he also, like Dante mentioned, that game was still, Texas still could have had a chance to win that game, but Sarkisian, that conservative play calling, it didn't help his young quarterback out. So now all the attention and negative attention is on Manning because his lack of production on the field, and Sarkisian, he's able to go in the room and close the door because nobody's talking about him. Everybody pointing at Manning. So it almost like he left his quarterback out to dry.
Gotcha. Coach, I don't know if you got a chance to see the game. Your thoughts on Manning? Is it too much too soon? Is it just the pressure? Is he just going to grow into it? What are your thoughts on his prospects? And should he come out this year or should he stay for 2 years?
Brother Miniman, overhyped like they are. He's overhyped, man. He's overhyped, man. But he's a man, and so people go give him a pass. I think he'll get better. I think players need games like that early in their career. They need a game to humble them. They already talk about this being the best class. We don't know. It probably could be the worst class. Football is determined after the game. To me, other people, it's after the game. Who won? That's it. Who played the better? But, you playing Ohio State, man, what you expect? National champions. They could repeat. That's how stacked they are. But, we'll see the next couple of weeks. If he throw 4 touchdowns 3 weeks in a row, they'll put him back up there just because he's a man. So it's going to be interesting, man. Yeah, man. But I think this is go Sarkisian, I guess that's his name, man. He's been given more chances, man, at the big schools and ain't did nothing with it, man, than anybody in the last 10, 15 years.
Wait, coach. You putting a little too much dip on your chip. He's brought Texas from a team that was an afterthought and a laughing stock. So he's made the playoffs the last couple of seasons. And so he made the 14 playoff and he came to the end and he won a couple of games this year. And Ohio State took him out. So he lost to the national champs and he lost to Washington, who was runner-up. So his thing is play calling. Now, I will say this. You said overhyped. You can say Arch is overhyped, but the defending champs scored 14 points. And and it wasn't easy for them. This was a game in which the defense did not force any turnovers, but they held the yardage down and the points down. This was a game where it's one of them. If you come after the game and if you tell me before without telling the result, you score 14 points, the other team, you should say, hey, I should win that game. I picked it to be 17-14. 17-14 because I thought it was gonna be like that, but the Texas offense was abysmal. Yeah. So now we got to clear that part up at least.
But that goes to show the greatness of a team like Ohio State, right? They know how to win the close games on the road. But this is the thing, though.
They was at home and only scored.
Yeah, 14. We're at home. Yeah.
We go. Listen, Texas got to worry about the rest of their season. No, go ahead.
Texas. I'll put it to you like this:
he's going to have to play like they hyped him up to be.
If Florida. He has to play Florida left at Florida. Then the next week, the big rival, his first time starting in Red River. That's going to be tough. And then he has to go to Georgia. So he has Texas has some lulls. Well, they got 3 straight weeks and 3 straight dubs. The little teams, that's the money games, as I call them. Got 3 money games, then Florida, then Oklahoma, then a lull. But I will say it breaks that he has a bye week before Florida and a bye week before Georgia. Steve Sarkisian better come up with some offense in them bye weeks. If not, then you will be able to get labeled as overhyped, underachieved because you didn't get it done.
Well, speaking of that, again, shout out to John for the super chat. And Peyton Manning was right when he told Eli Arch was adopted.
That was funny. That was really funny.
That's great.
But I give this for college football though. Because this is what happened when they extended and modified the playoffs. Now you get these teams, these juggernauts per se, are the elite teams playing each other. So whether it was Texas or whether Ohio State, that would have been a loss they could have been able to afford because they are talented enough that they can potentially get back into the playoff picture.
Right.
And since they get at least Texas, I know everybody's talking about Manning, but they lost by 7 versus a top 3 team. Now, Alabama.
We're going to get there. Hang on. Hang on. But we're going to get there in a minute.
Yep.
Before we leave Texas, I wanted to give certainly you and Dante an opportunity. I found this. I'm always looking for stuff. So I got this here. This is the Texas ranking the Texas players of all time. Now I know some of these guys are beyond all of us. I wasn't there when Bobby Lane played. It's contrary to popular belief. Yeah. But some of these guys here, so they're ranking them in order. Now I must say, Earl Campbell, coach. We all know about Houston Oilers. Love you, Blue. That was amazing. If I wasn't a Steelers fan, I would have been an Oilers fan back then. But Earl Campbell, to be as big as he was, and that Monday night game against Miami when he ran for 80 to close the game, still one of the biggest moments there. Vince Young, certainly that's still to this day one of the best college championship games I ever saw. Vince really balled out there. I don't know about Ricky, but again, I wanted to give certainly Shawnee and Dante an opportunity if they wanted to, since you guys follow UT, whether or not you agree with this ranking. Again, some of these guys you may not know, but what do you guys think? Ricky Williams number 3, Colt McCoy number 4. I don't see where that comes from because I don't think he did anything major, certainly on the NFL level. But as a college quarterback, I wasn't that impressed with him. But based on the guys you're seeing here, any issues with this ranking here? You know, whether you know some of these guys or not.
Well, obviously, some of these dudes, because I wasn't following Texas way back when to know some of these dudes, but I recognize majority of these names. Earl Campbell, you mentioned Earl Campbell's Earl Campbell. Vince Young had an excellent. Ricky Williams was that dude at UT. He was him and Cedric Benson. Colt McCoy was during the Mac Brown era, and he was a good quarterback for them. I believe.
Wasn't Mac Brown the quarterback for Vince also?
Yeah, he was. Mac was the Max.
Yeah.
This heyday of Mac was what's the guy his dad was the quarterback? I forgot his name. Phil Simms. Chris Simms.
Yeah.
It was the era between Chris Simms, Major Applewhite. Oh my gosh, I remember that back and forth. But the Chris Simms, Major Applewhite, Vince Young, Colt McCoy, that's the bulk of the winning that Mac did and what he built on. But I will say is, from someone an avid Texas football watcher, I thought it was going to be a major drop-off when we went from Vince Young to Colt McCoy. When Colt got the reins, Ohio State came to Austin and won. But other than that, he stood tall and made a lot of things happen.
Was it
when he was quarterback?
Colt, they could have won a title with.
They could have won the national title.
He got injured.
He got hurt. He got hurt with his shoulder. He said he couldn't feel it, and I could understand it from the pro side of saying, "Hey, we got to protect yourself." I ain't gonna lie. I wanted him to take that shot and go back out there because that was when Alabama they had that vaunted class with Marcel Darius and Mark Ingram and all of them. But the quarterbacks were Jags. They were just nothing to brag about before he did to spread it out. And so the advantage, especially with that early turnover, was going to be the Texas. I think they did like a short kick, and then like 2 plays in, Marcel Darius big ass hurt Colt, and I was like, dang, it was just a tough break. And so that's what his legacy is kind of known as. But he is highly known as. Now I know, no disrespect to Bobby Lane, that's way before my time. Mm-hmm. Colt, to me, in the modern era, is the second best quarterback after obviously Vince.
Yeah. Coach, any thoughts on this list before I move on? Any of these guys come to mind?
Oh man, I'm cool with the list, man. Especially the top 3, man. Top 3, man. They all was high level performers, man, during their run. Cedric Benson, he panned out. He didn't really pan out in the NFL, but you know, Steve McMichael, I think he is in the Hall of Fame, man, with the Chicago Bears or something. But Jerry Gray, I don't really remember too many of the bottom row, except Benson and McMichael. But yeah, man, Earl Campbell, man, was that dude, man, for real.
Tyler Rose, man.
Tyler Rose, yeah.
Cedric Benson was so great. When I was in high school, obviously, I was like a cycle after him. We were watching some of his highlights and how good he was as a freshman. As a high school freshman, he was a guy that he's the quintessential guy. Like he said, he wasn't that great in the pros, Coach Ferg. He was a guy that sometimes the Texas athlete is overdeveloped and pushed that way. So he may have peaked by the time early in his college year. And like some people try to say when he won the Doak Walker, it was a career award. But I was like, I think he had like 1,800. I was like, man, I'm or something yards that season. So I really wasn't feeling that. But Cedric was one of my favorite Texas Longhorns.
I'll tell you this quick story about Benson. Benson was so good at UT. Remember, Adrian Peterson was playing, and he was wrecking shop in East Texas, but he played at Oklahoma. And everybody's saying, why the hell you go to Oklahoma? You should have been playing for UT. Peterson wanted to go to UT and start as a freshman. I believe Mac Brown was coach then. Mac Brown was like, I can't start you as a freshman because we got Benson carrying the ball. So that's why Peterson ultimately went to Oklahoma. Benson was just so great. They couldn't, because Peterson was doing his thing down here in East Texas. Yeah. But they wasn't, he said, we just can't put you over
Johnny,
a legend.
Johnny, there's one real quick. There's one more part to that story. Go back and look up. Adrian Peterson graduated class of 04 because I'm class of 05. Go look at what happened that year at the Red River when he was there with the Texas side. I try to get it out of my mind, but it was so bad. He was just like, I can't go here. And it was so bad. There was a lot to that story that still hurts my college football soul. And I just have to see Adrian Peterson be so great. The only thing that made up for it is that the fallout that Texas ended up being, get that national title. But those were some days where Mack Brown got his hand handed to him by Bob Stoops, man. That was
Oh yeah.
Absolutely. Want to give certainly another shout out. Anton been blessing the channel all night. We really appreciate the $20 super chat. Arch Manning is playing in the same conference that his father, uncles, and grandfather played in. If he doesn't accomplish anything in Austin, it will be a total disappointment. Yeah, that's a lot of pressure coming from that QB family. And but again, I wouldn't rush it. Like I said, don't be in such a rush to come out next year. If you need another year season and to get yourself together, then go ahead and do that. Don't fall to that pressure. I don't want anything to happen to the guy. I'm just saying, just from what I saw, certainly it might be too much on him too soon playing the national champion, which I believe was an upset. Wasn't Texas higher ranked than Ohio State coming to this game?
Yeah, Texas was
number one ranked. And we can get into our last block. So there was a few upsets that happened. So obviously we had certainly Notre Dame came in 6th seed, lost to Miami. You had the quarterback from Georgia who had a lot of criticism from last year from Georgia, goes to Miami and pulls the win over Notre Dame 6th rank. And then obviously the biggest one, Florida State, which has been in turmoil the last few years, but upset Alabama 31-17, and they really didn't look that competitive. So I know a lot of the Alabama fans, I don't know if you guys saw the video, they show all these Alabama fans putting the middle finger up to everybody as they were leaving the stadium. So obviously this is not the traditional Alabama that we're used to. So I know a lot of those fans are pulling their hair out. But yeah, I mean, but as I think as Sean was saying earlier, it's better you get these losses out early, and I think a lot of these teams, they can certainly play themselves back into contention. But Alabama, I don't know. I mean, have we seen Saban's not coming back to save them? I don't think, and they paid this guy a ton of money to come. I think from Washington was his last team to come down and coach these guys. So I don't know. Is Alabama, are they going to be a middle of the pack sort of team here? But what were your thoughts? What do you think was the bigger upset? I mean, I would think it would have to be Florida State, but certainly, what was your big takeaway from the weekend? And then one I did not talk about that we got to talk about. Bill Belichick makes his debut. Welcome to the college football ranks. So we'll talk about that. But from these, so what was your big takeaways? And obviously you had the catch. They had a couple one-handed catches over the weekend that they were highlighting. But what were your thoughts on the game? So again, let's start with Coach, and we'll just take it down the line. What was your upset? What do you think was the most stunning?
I'll just go through all three of them real quick. I think the Florida State Alabama upset was probably the most shocking first week. So it wasn't no surprise that the Notre Dame Miami game, I think that was probably some of the best. I think that game against Notre Dame with Carson Beck being the quarterback, coming back and playing the way he did and the way the team sort of rallied behind him, I think Miami is going to be a contender throughout the entire season. If they look well, if they keep that, they look balanced. Notre Dame, they'll be okay because they were right in the game. I think, man, when you get down in that nice little Florida sun, man, the sun done hit the set on that ocean, man. There's too much going on, but it's still early, man. I think all four of these teams will probably be in the top 25 when the season's over with. North Carolina, Bill Belichick looks sort of lost to me. They started out on fire. I was like, man, North Carolina might look good. And it fizzled out real quick. And he just looked he looked lost. I think he's going to have to put a headset on. He's going to have to put a headset on and sort of always be, I don't know. He's going to have I don't know, man. He's going to have to, I don't know. They just looked he just looked out of place, man. So we'll see.
I got you. Shawnee?
I think the Notre Dame Miami, I guess by seeding, you can say it was an upset, but I don't know, because I think those teams, usually when you get to those seeds, they pretty well even teams, and that's why you saw a good game. I mean, literally, this catch right here basically was ultimately the game winner, per se, for Miami. That was just a good game. The Alabama-Florida State, I guess, by far is the biggest upset because, one, Alabama was ranked number 6.
Yeah.
And Florida State is not ranked. And the thing about it, because Kellen DeBoer, he's a good coach. I mean, he got the job because I think the season prior he just led Washington to the finals, even though it was a back and forth game versus Texas. But Nick Saban left such an incredible size shoe. That whole South down there, they got spoiled, and they got hella spoiled. And Kellen DeBoer, he's losing against teams that Saban was just. I think somebody said something about he only lost to 2 unranked teams this whole time. They're at Alabama, I believe. Like it's like he the shoes that he left, and that region. Yeah, I don't know what they're saying about the boy right now. They are super passionate. I mean, y'all talking about Cowboys fans. I don't even know Cowboys fans as passionate as those fans down there in Alabama, because that's all they have many times. So, but the coach was bringing up Belichick was looking lost. I don't know. I don't pay 100% attention to them like that. But usually when Coach was up there in New England, he's a football lifer. It's just all about football. But it seems like when he came down to UNC, that woman he with it's getting all type of attention coming his way, and it's like Coach says. I mean, he's an older dude now too, and he just want to coach football. But it's like ever since. I don't know, man. You be hearing some weird stories regarding them, and now you already know that he put his son as the heir to the position when he leave. And I'm looking at USC probably looking at both of them like, man, we don't know damn Belichick is not coach no more if they gonna lose like this. But yeah, the TCU just came out there and just embarrassed them. And I saw a video. I guess his woman was trying to talk to him on the sideline. I don't know what she's doing down there, but he just walked away from it and started standing in the field. So I don't know, man. It looks like he distracted.
Yeah. Dante, thoughts on the upset and on the Belichick situation?
On the upset, Florida State, as down as they've been, I didn't think they had the guys. I just think they didn't have it. But with all of the recruiting rankings and how highly talented the squad Alabama has, to get smoked like that, that's not happening in the Saban era. I don't think that's happening in the Saban era to an unranked team, even in week 1. I don't think that's happening. And a buddy of mine, he has a pod, and he was saying that on his pod, he was just like, I don't know if they realize that they're going to run him out of town. He's not the type of guy that really looks like he's built for this. And like Shawnee said, having those type of losses, that's not going to make it. That's not going to make it. And also, I would say for Bill, and for as far as Bill is concerned, he doesn't have the talent. Like the Belichick way and some of the things he's done. I heard he came in and got some of the people that were there and just, let them all go. You don't know the college game. You don't know the game. And it's just like, it's a repeat of what it's a repeat of what happened in New England of having the control. And where could you get the control again after the pros? College. That's why he didn't get the job with Atlanta, which love Raheem Morris, but I don't know. We'll see how that one goes. But him just, it may have been best that he just, I never saw college as a fit. I don't see him making it past this season. I think he'll step down, let his son take over, and then, you know, rock out with his fiance or whatever he's gonna do. But it's tough to see a legend go down like this. But it's also fun for as smug as he was. Now you get at the end of the NFL career, you're getting your ass kicked. Beginning of your college career, you're getting your ass kicked, and it's just like it might not be for you no more, man.
So the question we're always asking ourselves is, how does it look now? Was it more Brady or Belichick? That discussion has always been ballied around and whatnot. Or did they need each other? You know, just looking at his.
I think they needed each other, and early on, people do this. They romanticize it with Tom. The first three, and man, that was a lot of the defense. It was a lot of the defense teams, and then after that, when they had that break of winning Super Bowls, and they circumvented the cap with the TB12 facility right next to, you know, nobody ever investigated that, but you better believe if this was, you know, other teams, they would have done that. But and then they won those last ones. It was like definitely Tom, his ability to switch the receivers in and out, and you know have the money to spread out was a big deal. But early on, Bill led the way, man.
Gotcha. Any thoughts on that, guys? Is this you think this certainly hurts his legacy, or if you look at the Brady Belichick pairing, does his recent woes, does that affect your views on who was more valuable to that franchise? I mean, the fact that Brady went and won in the Super Bowl with another franchise, I mean, I think that certainly said a lot. But you know, do you think this hurts his legacy as a coach?
Not at all. It doesn't do anything to his legacy. This is sort of like he's like in the playground now. He's at that age. His name, you know what I'm saying? I think this will probably be his only college stint. With him and Brady, I think they needed each other at that time. Bill Belichick had been a head coach, you know, really he had some pretty good teams, but they didn't show up in the big games. And the fact that he pretty much allowed Tom Brady to sort of just run the offense as he saw fit, that, you know, he put a lot of trust in Brady, and just even the coaches that were under him. You know what I'm saying? He gave them a lot of freedom to be creative, and he just made sure to play. He's like a Tomlin to me. You know, you're going to run out defense, like we say. You better be at practice. Don't be late. Don't be out there in the streets acting stupid, because we will cut you. We will get rid of you. And I think at that time, you know, I don't say this on shit up, but under both of them, there's a lot of suspicious activity going on. So, you know, we got Deflate Gate, we got video, we got stealing signs, we got everything that would garner us for to be kicked out of the league going on with them at that time. So Kraft was he was Jerry Jones of the AFC. So
I hear you. Last segment of the night, gentlemen. Again, great combos tonight. Certainly looking forward to the start of the NFL tomorrow night, and I think the whole weekend. I think this is one of the better weekend matchups that I've seen in quite a number of years. So I think the NFL certainly hit the right mark tonight. But last thing, I want to go back to the NFL. So I saw these ranks. So again, they had these ESPN analysis came out, ranking the QBs this year. So Jalen Hurts at the guy just won a Super Bowl, and yet and still he's at the bottom of the pack in terms of ranking. Now they don't have all the rankings here, but these are, I guess, these are the notables. We can debate over the top four. If they got, I think, I don't know if they got that order right, but we could talk about that. So, but when I saw this, I was just a head scratcher. Like, what does Jalen Hurts have to do in order to get some respect in the NFL? So however you guys want to tackle this one, we'll start with Coach first. Are you good with the ranking of the top guys? What stands out to you from that? And then Jalen Hurts ranked 38th. Mind you, there's only 32 teams. So I don't understand where they're coming with this analysis on what does the man have to do to get some respect around here. I don't get it. But Coach, how do you take this one?
Just for the sake of the top 5, I'm gonna say the top 5 is good where they are. That 1 through 5, yes, but to see these last 3, you can take her. I don't know, man. Jaden, that I would definitely put Hurts within the top 10. He'd be a top 10. Herbert, he'd be a top 15. Him and Daniels being the top 20 together, just because Daniels, he had a great rookie season. This is the tale of him being one of those generational talents in the NFL if he has come out this year. Herbert, he's been in the league long enough. They always have high expectations of him, but 35 and 38, that's disrespectful, man. Jalen Hurts, he done had to go do this ever since college, man. How you win a championship, then you get taken out of your starting job, and here you are winning Super Bowls. What's this, his 4th year in the league? You win a Super Bowl. Come on, man. That's no respect. They probably as well put him at they might as well put him at that last quarterback ranking in the league, man. It's disrespectful.
No,
Shout out to Lost in Translation in the building tonight. The ultimate Cowboy fan. We could have had you certainly for the early part of the show with the combo, but good to have you on board as usual. And before you guys go on, again, I just want to acknowledge our guy again, the super sponsor for tonight. I want to make sure I get my super chats in for again, Anton. You've been blessing us all night. Really appreciate your support of the channel. Nick Saban isn't coming to save Alabama. Period. War Eagle. Yeah, I absolutely. And then the last spot, again, another super chat. If Bill Belichick is fired in North Carolina, don't be surprised if Greg Schiano hires him to work at Rutgers. How about that a turnaround? Because Belichick hired Schiano to work for the Patriots, and that'd be something. If Bill Belichick came to Rutgers, that would be that's right down the street from me. So that would be quite the story in and of itself. And they'd be like, kid there for the story.
College quarterbacks is just the defensive coach, like what Patricia did to Arch Manning. He's going to stretch quarterbacks.
Yeah, for sure. But go ahead, Shawnee, your thoughts on this? What sticks out to you most on this list here?
Well, one thing, Cliff, this is overall rank. This is like not just quarterbacks. This is basically they look at Jalen Hurts as the 38th best player in the league. So you can have running backs above him, and so on.
Okay.
So this is overall rank.
Yeah.
So my thing, this is just based off of one season, 24 coming into 25. If you go into 24, because they obviously haven't played a game as of yet, Hurts finished 20th in passing yards, also 20th in touchdown passes. Many of the success, because remember, with just a miss of take some players off the roster here and there, in particular Saquon Barkley, that same Eagles team was in flux the season before. They started off hot and just fell off, and then had that embarrassing playoff loss versus the Buccaneers. So they had some internal issues going on. Saquon Barkley came and changed everything. So a lot of this is basically, Hurts was able to play in spots, basically, because he had a running back that if he decided could have broken the season record and broken the single game record in the same season. That's how hot Barkley was. So Hurts was just able to play in spots. Unlike Burrow, clearly Jackson and Allen are more Allen than Jackson, but their importance to the offense is just clear. They do so much for them. But a lot of those other players, now of course, y'all mentioned Justin Herbert. I would have put Hurts over Justin Herbert. Justin Herbert had this halo over his head that people just can't. They just got what they see in Herbert and Herbert is just like what they saw in Lawrence, and they kind of left Lawrence alone. Herbert has the physical tools. That's it. He has the physical look of a quarterback. Now, I'm not saying he's a bad quarterback, but he hasn't really accomplished anything. Definitely not to the like. Pretty much, Jaden Daniels accomplished more pretty much already than just Justin Herbert. And he only played 1 year. Justin Herbert had the embarrassing loss versus the Jaguars when they made that comeback. Now, me, I don't like to put that on quarterback because he don't play defense. He did his thing on offense, but they still had an embarrassing loss. But, yeah, Jalen Hurts is basically had to play in spots. So I can see why he was ranked 38, because a lot of the offense that the Eagles did was hand the ball off to Barkley, and he rewarded them greatly. So like I said, this is just going from last year into this season. Now this year, they may put a little bit more in Hurts' hands, but just remember, before Barkley, the last image that we had of Hurts was the Eagles literally sliding down after starting like 10-1 and 23. So, yeah, Saquon Barkley is basically the main reason why they end up having a Super Bowl run last year.
Yeah, and just to kind of, guys, just to show you the list, I'll show you the top 10. So as Shawnee pointed out, this is the overall ranking. So they got Patrick Mahomes at ranked number 1, followed by Josh Allen. Myles Garrett is number 3. Lamar Jackson, number 4. Joe Burrow, 5. Patrick Surtain, they have it ranked number 6. Justin Jefferson, number 7. Jamar Chase, number 8. Micah Parsons, we'll see what happens in Green Bay, number 9. And Chris Jones, number 10. Interesting, T.J. Watt, 11. I'm not even seeing Saquon in the top. He's not even in the top 20. Okay, so he's 17th on the certainly on the list. But I'm not sure about would I put Patrick Surtain over him? I know he's an elite corner defender. I don't know if I still put him over Barkley though. In terms of that, Aiden Hutchinson, again, we'll see how healthy he's going to be. Coming into this season. So this is kind of like the top, some of the top guys here. Kyle Hamilton. I don't know if I put him him
Brother
on
Bennett,
Saquon, but
you know why they put those defensive players like that over running backs? Because most of those, especially the defensive players, all of those players can create their own plays. A running back needs blocking. So all of those players can impact the game just by themselves without any other players.
Good point. I'm sorry, who didn't get a chance to go?
I didn't get a chance to go.
Okay,
yet.
go ahead, Dante.
I've been waiting on this one. All off season. Look, all love, due respect for Jalen Hurts. He was an excellent game manager, threw 18 touchdowns and 5 interceptions last year and 2,900 yards because he had a back that had 2,000 yards rushing and carried the load for that team. He is not a better quarterback than those guys listed, except for I would say. My thing is the physical talent wise, I'm a Herbert guy, but at this point, I can't keep putting Herbert over a guy like Hurts, who is at least getting it done. Physical tools, Hurts has them, but he's been able to win with what he's had. I will say, to quote Parcells, hey man, let's not break out the Noil completely on Mr. Daniels. There was 1 year in which he had awesome. I would say the reason why I would have Hurts over Herbert, consistent trends of the level of play that he's had. And we've only got 1 year sample size, but I'm okay with you having them high up there because you're kind of projecting where things will go. The only thing is I will say about them is it's going to be tough because now everybody knows you're coming, even though they very well could win the division. They very well could be, because I know that was mentioned earlier. It hasn't been a repeat winner, but yeah, Hurts is a good quarterback. 38th for me might be a little high. I have him maybe in the top 50, maybe a little lower. I didn't see that full list, but and it's not. My thing is, I know it looks as because he's an Eagle or whatever, but it's just like no. What I've seen him in his career, if you line it up against other quarterbacks in his same ilk, it's just like he's had the team success of having a better team. I don't even want to go into the stats that he had to get to the Super Bowl times, the trips he had. Like he literally got carried to the Super Bowl, and because they were worried about Saquon Barkley, he threw a couple of touchdown passes. It was a blowout, so he got one of those. Well, here you go. Here's the Super Bowl MVP. So it's just like it's no diss on him, nothing against his accomplishments. He has great quotables, but no, he's not. He's not to me. He's not like a top 10 upper echelon QB.
All right, and I just dropped that link to that list in the chat, so you find that on ESPN, that top 100 ranking. Certainly for Lost, Lane Johnson, offensive tackle for the Eagles, he was the highest ranked offensive lineman on it, ranked at number 12. So you could definitely check him out there as well. But yeah, I mean we're coming up towards certainly the end of the show. Stay tuned for next week's show. Definitely, we're obviously the big fight next week, Canelo Alvarez and Crawford. We're gonna have a big preview. So I'm looking to have some fight guys on. We can chop that up a little bit. I'm trying to pull Poppy Blanco out of retirement and bring him on the show as well. So definitely we're gonna be able to chop that up and whatnot. Just want to acknowledge one more super chat again, Anton. Can't thank you enough for supporting the channel tonight. $5 super chat for the first time in NFL history. Half of the teams are starting a black quarterback. How far we've come, certainly in recent years. So a lot of great guys in the league representing, and so again, definitely definitely a step up for the NFL. But any closing thoughts, gentlemen? Certainly as we wind down the show, we can start with Dante and wrap it around, and Coach close it as always. We actually have time for it. So
okay, I couldn't find my preview show. I looked for it, but I'm just gonna talk about everybody talking about stars of football, but on the FCS side, I know a lot of people doubted that once Deion left, FCS, HBC football is going to be in shambles. But I think not. Prairie View has a new head coach named Tremaine Jackson. He's been talking about building the standard and the level of elite as an FCS team for Prairie View. And that, we played the 40th annual Labor Day Classic this past weekend, and TSU actually took the lead late in the game, and Prairie View actually won with literally with no time remaining with a touchdown pass. They were FCS team of the week. And I was just, proud of my alma mater, proud that they came through. Because he talked a lot of noise in the offseason. People talking trash. But he was like, no, I'm confident in my team. The other team talked back in the press conference, told the Prairie View coach Coach Jackson to take some grass home with him. So Coach Jackson got the victory. I wish I'd shared the video with a little bit of grass in his hand. I love a good back and forth. I love it. And in fact, they had scored the game-winning touchdown, the second to the last play of the game. Unfortunately, the pick plays, they called a penalty. So with no time left after scoring it, so to make it even more dramatic. So proud of my alma mater, proud they do that. So represent for Prairie View and them. Hopefully they can, the goal is to make it to Atlanta for the Black College National Championship in December. Got to win the SWAC first. So this is step 1-0. Keep it going, man.
Awesome. Shawnee?
My thing is, I know it's college football is overreaction Sunday because a lot of their games are Saturday. I'm like, well, just hold out on old Arch. Of course, I think he played. I don't think he's going to be a Heisman hopeful, but I think he will improve as the season go on. He'll get more comfortable. I believe Sarkisian will get more comfortable with the play call with him. But I some people are already writing him off for the whole season. I think he will get better. I know they say you're not supposed to take your opponents lightly, but y'all know they got a couple of tune-up games. They can kind of get his gears rolling right before the game in Florida. But yeah, I think it's still definitely some room for improvement for Manning, and you see a lot of people with their overreaction. It happens every. That's the thing about football because they only play one game a week. So whatever happened on game day, if it goes well, give the fans a week of gloating time. If it goes bad, that's why I'm glad fans are not GMs. They'll cut everybody on the team and try to build a new team every week. So, I don't think Archie's gonna. I think that Heisman stuff is gonna go away. Just let the dude play. But yeah, I still think he will show You know, he's a legit college quarterback. I can't speak on NFL, but just college quarterback. I just leave it there.
Gotcha. Coach, you'll be our final speaker. Close us out, sir, as you usually do.
I mean, listen, man, this is going to be a great week, man, going into the weekend, man. I know everybody can't wait till tomorrow night, man, but in between those times, man, we still got to think about our health, man. Y'all make sure y'all eating right, getting some movement, some circulation, enjoying these last few weeks of this nice summer weather. Get outside, man, get some fresh air. Let's take our kids to the park, find a merry-go-round, put them on it, and you run around the merry-go-round till everybody fall off the merry-go-round, and man, and pick them up and brush off their little bruises. But no, man, listen, man, it's football season, man. So everybody relax. Let's let the teams play. We're going to see some great football. I think this probably be one of the most exciting years of football in a long time as far as across the board in the NFL, man. Everybody got their positions filled. Got new coaches, new coordinators, it's ready, man. Let's gear up, man. Next week, I think we're gonna have a lot to talk about, man. Salute to y'all, man.
And lost in translation, yeah. Definitely, if there's a day to take off tomorrow might be it. Look forward to some great football tomorrow. So again, enjoy the rest of your week. Remember, I said that Dallas is going to beat the Eagles. We'll see. I mean, obviously,
lost in translation. It's one of those deals. Dak is 9-4 in his career when he starts the games versus the Eagles. So I come into the game. I ain't got my head held down because of obviously Parsons leaving. I'm thinking like this. I don't agree. I can't remember who said it that there was going to be a problem with Pickens. Now they're gonna be doing a lot of throwing the ball, and it's going to be plenty of targets for Pickens. It's going to be Pickens, Lamb, and Ferguson up the seam. So I think we got a pretty good shot.
Awesome.
Andre K, I expect to see you next week.
There you go. Again, next week, the preview show, Canelo, Crawford. We're gonna definitely chop that up a bit, and look forward to that as well as talk about week 1 and all the games going on in the pro league and in the college game. So again, for all you guys, thanks again for joining us. Make sure you hit the like button again as you leave the show. And make sure you share the content. We're going to get some shorts off of this, whatnot, so definitely pass the word around. Always a pleasure to share the stage with all you guys. And, it's always good when we're all together. So, again, I know you got responsibilities. You guys got stuff to do, whatever, but it's always just so much better when you guys are around. So really appreciate all you guys. Much respect to you. So all you guys, salute to the chat. As always, you guys enjoy the rest of your week. Enjoy the games. Take care. God bless. And we'll see you next time. Good night.